Heartwarming discovery, Millionaire exposes touching reason behind cleaner carrying her daughter. In the heart of a bustling suburban neighborhood, Sarah's morning started before dawn. The sun barely kissed the horizon, and her worn-out sneakers hit the pavement with a steady rhythm. Each step was heavy with responsibility, but her fiery spirit refused to let fatigue dim the love she felt for her daughter, Lily. Sarah carried her, nestled against her hip, a little miracle with sparkling eyes that told the world a story of hope despite the challenges of her mobility impairment. To outsiders, they might just have looked like another mother and daughter in a sea of ordinary life, but to Sarah, every ounce of effort she poured into her job as a cleaner was a bridge to a better future for Lily. At the same time, across town, Millionaire David sat in his sleek, glass-walled office, perfectly curated but devoid of warmth. As he looked out at the pristine skyline, an ache spread through his chest. Despite all the riches he had, something fundamental was missing. Motivated to find purpose, he turned to philanthropy, thinking perhaps he could fill the void by giving back. Little did he know, within the bustling community center where he volunteered, destiny was waiting to unfold. On that fateful day, while David organized supplies, he caught sight of Sarah. She was multitasking like a seasoned pro, juggling her duties while cradling a visibly tired Lily in her arms. Sarah's face told a tale of compassion mixed with exhaustion, her brow furrowed in concentration as she swept up crumbs, modeled patience, and radiated resilience. David paused, caught off guard by the gravity of her struggle. It struck him how devastatingly beautiful it was, like the sun breaking through storm clouds. But as he approached, out of kindness, Sarah glanced up, her defenses flaring like fireflies. She recoiled, perceiving his gentle gesture as mere pity, her pride clashing with his intentions. "Why don't people ever see me?" she murmured, too quiet for David to hear but loud enough for her heart to echo. The world around them was filled with noise, but Sarah often felt like she was stuck in a bubble, invisible to those who passed by with their heads held high. Through David's perspectives, she believed that societal walls kept them worlds apart. Yet, a current of connection began to weave their fates. Unbeknownst to them, days later, a storm rolled through. Wind rattled windows, and rain fell like knives. The community was battered, and chaos invaded homes. Sarah, with Lily wrapped close, refused to give in to despair. As buildings swayed and the lights flickered, David, witnessing the raw vulnerability around him, began to understand that hardship wore many faces. In the eye of the storm, David learned of Lily's rare health condition. He watched Sarah tirelessly sacrifice her comfort, putting her daughter first, eyes brimming with fierce love. Each drop of rain illustrated the path of hardship they faced, but unlike the fleeting storms of life, he saw strength rising from the ground, a woman gripped by determination. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the storm waned, the community struggled to rebuild, but things had shifted. David found himself more invested in the lives around him, not just the numbers on a spreadsheet but the heartbeats behind them. And Sarah, still fiercely protective of her independence, couldn't help but wonder if she could trust a man dressed in privilege. She felt the stirrings of doubt ignite. Could he really understand her? In the shadows of doubt and hope, a glimmer of possibility emerged, leaving both Sarah and David to ponder the question: can compassion truly bridge the chasm between different worlds? As they stood on the brink of transformation, a new chapter awaited, filled with wavering trust, raw emotion, and an unforeseen journey into shared destinies. As the sun rose over the drenched city, its rays slowly chased away the remnants of the storm. The world outside felt renewed, yet for Sarah, it was just another day. She woke on a small couch, Lily nestled on her chest, still asleep. The faint sound of raindrops on the window lingered in the air, a reminder of the chaos that had swept through their lives. With a gentle shift, she lifted Lily, careful not to wake her, and set about preparing breakfast. The small kitchen was filled with the scent of oatmeal bubbling on the stove. As she stirred, Sarah's thoughts drifted to David. She brushed away the tangled hair from her face and sighed, recognizing the conflicting feelings he stirred within her. Was it possible he might want to help not just with charity, but to truly understand their struggle? In Sarah's world, help often came with strings attached. She had learned that lesson the hard way. Meanwhile, across town, David sat at his office desk, staring at the papers before him. The usual meetings felt trivial now. He was obsessed with the image of Sarah, her unwavering strength like a lighthouse in turbulent waters. That morning, he decided to go back to the community center, a choice that felt less like an obligation and more like a mission. He needed to see her again. As they moved through the bustling streets, David made a plan. He wanted to share something personal, something vulnerable. Perhaps by opening up, he could dissolve the walls Sarah had built around her. A deep breath filled his lungs as he drove, the anticipation building like a wave. Would she let him in? Back in Sarah's kitchen, Lily stirred, her little fingers reaching out, searching for her mother. Sarah couldn't help but smile, the sunlight catching the glimmer in her daughter's bright eyes. "Good morning, sunshine," she whispered, leaning down to plant a soft kiss on her forehead. If only she could shield Lily from every harsh reality of their world, she would. As the morning waned, Sarah finished preparing for work. After dressing Lily with care, she turned to face a mirror, adjusting her hair. Every day brought forth the same battle, fighting against the doubts that nipped at her heels. Would she always live in a constant state of fear, clinging to her autonomy while desperate for support? An hour later, Sarah arrived at the community center. The familiar chaos engulfed her senses, but today was different. As she gathered her supplies, she caught a glimpse of David across the room, his eyes scanning the crowd before lighting up as they met hers. Time seemed to pause. She felt the pull of connection again, but it was underlined with an anxious flutter. "Sarah," he called over the crowd, his voice rich with concern and warmth. He approached, and for the first time, she didn't flinch at the sight of him. Instead, she held his gaze. "I wanted to ask how you and Lily are doing after the storm," he said, hands stuffed in his pockets. The authenticity in his tone cut through her defenses. "We're okay, managing, I guess," she replied, caught off guard by the quiver in her own voice. David nodded and took a step closer, lowering his voice. "I know it must have been difficult. I've been thinking about how to help, and I'd really like to understand if you'd let me in, let me learn." Her heart raced. Did he mean it? Was he truly willing to put in the effort, to see them beyond their struggles? Just then, a commotion erupted nearby. A crowd had gathered, mounting excitement rippled through the center. "What's happening?" she asked, instinctively shifting to shield Lily from the rush. David glanced at the gathering, then back at her. "Let's find out together," he suggested. Sarah hesitated, a rush of uncertainty flooding her heart. Faced with the chaos, would this moment draw them closer or build another wall between them? The air thickened with anticipation, leaving Sarah on the brink of a choice that could change everything. Could she really allow David into her world, or would this encounter only reinforce her fears? And as they moved through the crowd, hand in hand, one question loomed in the air: would they both be brave enough to break free from their pasts and embrace what lay ahead? As they slipped through the throng, Sarah's heart raced, caught between the safety of her routine and the unknown territory David was offering. It felt surreal, walking beside someone who had a world so different from her own. She could see the excitement in his eyes, the genuine curiosity that sparked within him as they approached the source of the noise. The crowd parted slightly, revealing a makeshift stage where local performers were setting up for an open mic event. Laughter and chatter filled the air as families gathered, some sitting on the floor and others perched on the edges of crates and benches. Colorful banners fluttered overhead, infusing a festive spirit that seemed to cut through Sarah's anxiety. "Look, Mommy!" Lily exclaimed, her voice bright and innocent, pointing towards a girl strumming a bright pink guitar. Can I sing too? Before Sarah could respond, David knelt beside Lily. What song would you want to sing? I bet you'd be amazing, he said, his encouraging tone wrapping around her like a warm blanket. Sarah watched, her heart swelling at how easily he interacted with her daughter. Maybe Twinkle, Twinkle. Lily grinned, her eyes sparkling with imagination. As they stayed near the stage, Sarah's mind raced. Did David truly want to connect, or was this merely a fleeting moment of kindness? The haunting memories of her past echoed with each little step Lily took, each little giggle, as if reminding her of the boundaries that had kept her safe. Yet here David was, his presence a gentle push against those barriers. Let us both sing with her, David suggested, flashing a playful smile in Sarah's direction. I promise I won't judge. A laugh escaped her lips despite herself. You really don't want to hear that, she replied, teasing yet nervous. The choice seemed simple enough, yet every laugh felt like a small risk, every moment of connection a test of her heart's resolve. As the first performer began, Sarah watched the reactions around her parents cheering for their children, the camaraderie amongst strangers sparked by shared joy. Here, the crowd was one, their fears and stories melting away for just a moment, unified by the music. David turned to her, his expression softening. See? This is what community is about. His words struck Sarah deeply. The warmth of that truth resonated within her. She had been so focused on her struggles that she forgot the strength in numbers, the power of solidarity. Before she could respond, an unexpected announcement broke through the pleasant chatter, drawing everyone's attention, including hers. Everyone. We've got a surprise guest. Our very own mayor is here to kick off the event. The buzz amplified. Sarah felt a stir of anxiety as people clamored to catch a glimpse of the mayor. Would he speak about the recent storms? Would he promise aid? Would it matter? David caught her gaze, sensing her tension. You okay? He asked, a hint of concern weaving through his voice. Sometimes it feels like too much, she admitted, the vulnerability slipping from her lips before she could stop it. Then let us take a break, he offered, a genuine smile reassuring her as he shifted back to give her space. We can watch from over there. They retreated slightly, finding a quieter spot on the edge of the crowd. Sarah caught her breath, settling into the small space of calm David had created around them. Thank you, she said, shy but earnest. For being here. It's different. Good different or bad different? He asked, his sincerity inviting her deeper. Good, I think, she replied, her heart gaining courage. As the mayor took the stage, Sarah felt a shift, not just in her surroundings, but within herself. Maybe the connection she feared could be the very thing that helped her move forward. And just as the mayor began to speak, a familiar face in the crowd caught Sarah's eye, someone from her past, someone who could unravel everything she had fought to protect. With her heart in her throat, Sarah whispered, "Oh no, not him." What would this unexpected encounter mean for Sarah's fragile new beginning? Panic gripped Sarah as her eyes locked onto the familiar figure Kevin. The way his hair fell just above his brow, the confident gait as he maneuvered through the crowd, it all surged memories. Not the good ones. Her breath hitched, and her heart raced, mixing fear with confusion. She thought she'd left that life far behind. Do you know him? David asked, his voice low, sensing her distress. Not really. The words stumbled out, her thoughts wrestling within her. How could she explain? How could she extract the past from the present? Kevin's laughter broke through the noise of the crowd, drawing attention as others turned to see what was happening. He seemed larger than life, animated and somehow magnetic, effortlessly pulling people into his orbit. Sarah felt herself shrinking, feeling small and wary. What is going on? David's gaze shifted to her, concern deepening. It's just someone I used to know. We didn't part on good terms. Sarah's quiet confession held a weight that pressed against her chest. She had fought so hard for a clean slate, for solace in her new life. In that moment, Lily squeezed her hand. "Mommy, are you okay?" The innocence in her voice pierced through Sarah's pain, grounding her even as panic rose. "I'm fine, sweetheart." Just a little surprised, she managed to assure Lily, though she was anything but. The mayor cleared his throat on stage, and for a moment, the crowd's focus shifted. Sarah took a deep breath, her eyes flitting back to Kevin. He was scanning the crowd, and for a brief second, his gaze landed on her. In that instant, she felt exposed, caught between the person she was trying to be and the remnants of who she used to be. "Stay close," David said, taking a half-step closer, his protective stance emphasizing how aware he was of her unease. The mayor began to speak, but Sarah couldn't grasp the words. They echoed in her ears, wordless drumming against her growing anxiety. Each word felt like it echoed her own turmoil, the facade of community and togetherness layered on top of her unease. "Let us move a bit farther back," David suggested softly, gently guiding Lily away. They stepped back, creating a safe distance from the chaos she felt encroaching. "There's an ice cream cart over there." Lily pointed, her voice a burst of joy that pulled Sarah's heart back from the brink. The chaos of feelings began to settle slightly as they walked toward the cart, the distractions of colors and laughter faintly soothing. Is he dangerous?" David asked, his voice low enough for only her to hear. "I don't know," Sarah admitted, her voice trembling. "But he's not good news. He was everything I wanted to escape." David nodded, the look in his eyes one of support, not judgment. Lily bounced ahead, her small figure echoing carefree innocence. It reminded Sarah that it wasn't just about her anymore. It was about everything she'd built for her daughter. Just then, a voice cut through the laughter, sharp and commanding. "Sarah! There you are!" Kevin's voice rang out across the gathering, shaking her foundations. She could feel David tense beside her, ready to shield them both. "Can you get her some ice cream?" Sarah whispered urgently to him, her grip tightening around Lily's fingers. "Just a moment, Lils. Stay close to me, all right?" "Okay, Mommy." Lily chirped, not understanding the underlying tension, only sensing the urgency. While David moved toward the cart, Sarah turned. She faced Kevin, feeling a surge of determination. She wouldn't allow the past to overshadow the future she was carving out for herself. Kevin approached, his expression shifting from surprise to something else, curiosity mixed with a hint of a smirk she couldn't quite decipher. "Long time no see, huh?" he said, taking steps closer, but to Sarah, it felt like a world separating them, a boundary drawn in her newfound strength. "Not long enough," she responded firmly, feeling the solidity of her choices. His expression faltered slightly, a flicker of confusion crossing his features. "Still holding on to that bitterness, I see. It's called self-preservation. Look, I don't know why you're here, but I don't have time for this." Her voice was steady, but inside, every word rang like thunder. Would the confrontation escalate? He looked taken aback, but the smirk returned. "Family ties are tricky, Sarah. You should know that." At that moment, David returned with the ice cream, presenting it to Lily, who giggled with glee. Sarah hoped her daughter's joy would blanket the tension forming in the air. "Let us go," she urged, grabbing Lily's hand. But Kevin moved closer, a shadow stretching between them. "I'd love to catch up, really. After all, we have so much to discuss." As Sarah pulled her daughter away, she felt the weight of choices still looming ahead. But the question hung in the air: had Kevin come to reclaim a part of her life, or to destroy the new one she was trying to build? With each step away, she could sense the danger still lingering, waiting to unravel everything she held so dear. Sarah felt the chill of Kevin's presence even as she hurried away with Lily. The ice cream cone dripped slightly, adding an element of normalcy to their flight, but the sweetness felt bitter on her tongue. David walked beside her, his silent support palpable, but her mind raced and roiled with a storm of emotions. "Mommy, look! Mine's pink!" Lily exclaimed, her eyes lighting up as she admired her strawberry ice cream. The purity of her excitement momentarily distracted Sarah from the darkness swirling in her chest. "That's beautiful, honey," Sarah said, forcing a smile. "I love it." David glanced sideways, gauging Sarah's tension. "Do you want to sit down for a moment?" he asked softly, guiding them to a nearby bench while keeping his gaze alert. "No, I just want to get away," Sarah replied. She felt as if their bubble of safety was at risk of bursting. Kevin was out there, and for the first time in years, she felt vulnerable again. "Let us just enjoy the moment," David encouraged, trying to ease her worries. "Lily's happy, and that's what matters." Forcing herself to breathe, Sarah watched Lily twirl around happily, her small hand gripping the ice cream cone like it was the most precious treasure. In that innocent joy, Sarah found a semblance of peace. "Sarah!" Kevin's voice cut through the surrounding laughter again, sharper this time. She could see him approaching, his features taut and serious. Her heart raced. Did he really have the audacity to follow them? "Just ignore him," David said, his tone steady. He stood up, ready to confront Kevin if need be. Lily spun around, her smile frozen on her face as she looked from her mother to the man who loomed too large for comfort. "Mommy? Who is that?" "Just someone from a long time ago." "Nothing to worry about," Sarah said, but the words felt weak in her mouth. Kevin stopped a few feet away, his expression shifting again, this time to a mixture of frustration and something almost pleading. "You really think you can just walk away from the past? From me?" Sarah straightened her spine, feeling like she was reclaiming a part of herself with every breath. "You don't understand. I've moved on. You need to do the same." "Moved on?" he scoffed, his eyes narrowing. "You think running away starting fresh will erase what happened? We have a history, Sarah. Lily deserves to know her father." Lily looked up at Sarah, confusion etched across her youthful face. Sarah's heart sank. This was the last thing she wanted for her daughter. Not now, not ever. "Lily, sweetie, how about we know? This isn't about you." Kevin interrupted, stepping closer. His voice was low but intense. "It's about her." "I said back off." David interjected, stepping in front of Sarah and Lily protectively. The tension was so thick it felt like the air itself was straining. "Come on, David," Sarah whispered, panic rising again. She didn't want this confrontation to escalate. But when she looked at Kevin, she saw a man stripped of his bravado, desperation simpering just beneath the surface. "Sarah, I'm not trying to threaten you," Kevin said, his tone softer as if a hint of vulnerability slipped through. "I just want to talk. Can't we at least have a conversation?" With Lily looking up at her, expectantly, Sarah felt the weight of the moment crash down on her. She'd built a life of protection and love, and now it was threatened by a man who represented everything she had fought to escape. "What is there to talk about? You lost that right a long time ago," she finally said, her voice steady despite its tremor. "Then just let me see my daughter," he pushed, his eyes pleading. "I'm not the monster you think I am." Each word hit her like a punch. Her resolve wavered, but she couldn't let it crumble now. Not when she was so close to the peace she craved. "Mommy, please?" Lily asked, a touch of uncertainty in her tone. The air felt electric, and the world around them faded. Would she let Kevin back in? Would she even dare risk it? The unthinkable loomed in front of her. As she stood there, her heart pounding, a choice awaiting her, she realized the hardest battles are often fought within. Was she strong enough to face her past and protect her future? As she met Kevin's gaze, uncertainty rested in her chest like a stone, heavy and unyielding. What did he really want from them? What would it mean to let him back in, however just for a moment? And in that moment, a new storm of questions began to form. What if he wasn't finished with her life yet? Sarah's heart raced as Kevin's words echoed in her mind, drowning out the laughter of children and the sounds of a summer day. She could feel the weight of Lily's hand in hers, the innocence of her daughter stark against the turmoil in her own heart. Kevin's presence, once a source of anger and shame, now felt like a dark shadow looming over their lives, threatening to pull them under again. "What do you want, Kevin?" she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I want to be a part of Lily's life," he said, the pleading in his eyes mixed with a stubbornness that sent a shiver down her spine. "I know I messed up, but I want to make it right. Can't you at least give me a chance?" Lily swung her little legs back and forth, her happiness blurring at the edges with confusion. Sarah sank to one knee beside her, trying to shield her daughter from the growing storm. "Sweetie," she said softly, "how about we move a little further away? Let us go get some more ice cream, okay?" Lily shook her head, her big brown eyes flicking from Sarah to Kevin. "But, Mommy, he looks sad." He just needs to talk," Sarah said, forcing softness into her tone, even though she felt a swell of panic. She never wanted Kevin around them again, the mere thought made her stomach churn. "Talking won't change anything," David interjected sharply, still poised protectively in front of them. "You've caused enough trouble, Kevin. You should leave." Kevin turned to David, frustration etching deeper lines into his forehead. "You think you're doing her any favors? She deserves to know her family, to know her father." "Family?" Sarah barked, rising to her feet. "You don't get to claim that title, not after everything you've done." Lily's eyes widened in fear, and Sarah felt a pang of guilt. This was all too much for her daughter, who was only trying to balance her love for both her parents. "Lily, why don't you wait for me over there?" Sarah gestured to a nearby fountain, hoping for a reprieve from the escalating tension. "I don't want to leave you," Lily hesitated, her voice small but firm. "Just a few steps, honey." Sarah drew in a deep breath, forcing herself to look at her daughter with reassurance. She had to shield Lily from the darkness of her own past. "I promise I'll be right there. Just watch the water, okay?" With a reluctant nod, Lily stepped away, looking back twice before her small body disappeared behind a cluster of bushes. Sarah turned her attention back to Kevin, her heart pounding as she faced him again. "You can't just waltz back into our lives and expect everything to be fine. Do you even know how fragile everything is right now?" Kevin's shoulders sagged a little, and for a moment, Sarah thought she saw the man she once loved, the hopeful gaze, the broken spirit. "I know I've messed up," he said quietly. "But I'm trying to change." "Trying isn't enough," Sarah shot back, angry tears pricking at her eyes. "You don't know what it's like to build a life from the ashes you left behind. To protect my child from fears born of your decisions. Just one conversation," he pressed, desperation creeping into his tone. "Please, let me show you I'm serious. Just give me that." She hesitated, feeling the ground shift beneath her as old memories rushed back in. Could he truly have changed? "Lily deserves to know her father," Kevin said again, softer now, almost pleading. "You can't keep her from me forever." "Forever?" Sarah echoed, anger giving way to fatigue. "You think about forever? Where were you when I needed you? When I was raising her alone?" The chasm of silence between them grew painfully wide. She could hear the distant giggles of children, a stark reminder of how far away her own child was from this mess, but as uncertainty swirled in her chest, she could almost feel Kevin's sincerity beneath the bravado. Maybe he was still the man she once loved, if only a shadow. Or was this just another trick, another deception? And as she stood there, caught in the crossfire of her past and present, the choice laid heavy on her heart. How could she plunge her daughter into this conflict? Just as clarity began to form, Lily's voice interrupted her thoughts. "Mommy, can we go home?" At that moment, Sarah's emotions were torn. Should she protect her child or take a risk on a man she thought she'd left behind? And what if this chance was the answer to a question she hadn't dared to ask until now? Where would this decision lead them all? Sarah blinked, the weight of Lily's words wrapping tightly around her like a heavy blanket. The request felt like a lifeline and an anchor all at once. She scanned the park, searching for stability in the chaotic swirl of emotions. Vivid memories danced in her mind: Lily's first steps, her laughter ringing through their small apartment, the night she cried herself to sleep, wishing for a better life for them both. "Sweetheart," she took a tentative step towards Lily's direction, drawn to her daughter's small figure against the bright summer backdrop. "What is going on, Mommy?" Lily asked, her brow furrowing in confusion. For a moment, Sarah felt like a ship lost at sea, tossed between the storm of the past and the calm of the present. "It's complicated, honey," she managed to say, swallowing hard. She thought about how to explain a father who was part of their lives and yet so distant at the same time. David took a step closer to Sarah, his presence grounding her. "You don't have to do this," he said softly, his voice low enough for only her to hear. "You and Lily are fine as you are. No need to bring him back." But was it really that simple? Part of her wanted to shield Lily from Kevin's tumultuous energy, while another part wondered if this was an opportunity. "Maybe a conversation wouldn't hurt," Sarah finally said, surprising herself. The words fell out unplanned, almost like a resolution her heart made without her permission. "Just a chance to see if he means it." Lily's eyes brightened, the innocence of youth glowing in the shadow of complex adult emotions. "Really, Mommy?" she asked, hope igniting in her voice. "Just one," Sarah replied, clenching her fists, trying to ignore the knot tightening in her stomach as Kevin looked on, anticipation mingling with dread. "You won't regret it," he said gently, his tone encouraging yet tinged with urgency. As she turned back to Lily, the little girl came bounding towards her, pulling on her sleeve. "Can we get ice cream after?" Laughter bubbled up in Sarah, responding to her daughter's undying optimism. "Of course, sweetheart. But first, we need to talk." Shifting her focus back to Kevin, she felt the familiar mix of anger and faded affection. "You get this one chance. One. If I see anything that tells me you're playing games, we're done." "Understood," Kevin answered, and in his eyes, she saw an echo of vulnerability. It frightened her but also intrigued her. Was he truly willing to fight for this? "Okay, then let us sit." They found an empty bench, and as Lily nestled at her side, Sarah braced herself for the conversation that would change everything or maybe just put everything at stake again. "So, what do you plan to do?" Sarah asked, crossing her arms, trying to shield her heart like armor. The question hung in the air, loaded with 1,000 unspoken concerns. Kevin took a deep breath, muscles tightening as if bracing for a fall. "I've lost so much time," he said slowly. "I want to be better, for you and Lily. I know I can't erase the past, but I want to start over. Be there for her, help you both." Those words felt strangely foreign, almost like a balm on old wounds. But with them came the lingering doubt, the risk that freeing those shackles could lead her right back into heartache. As Kevin continued, speaking about changes he'd made, plans for the future, Sarah found herself torn. Was this genuine transformation, or just a well-rehearsed script? "Mommy, can we trust him?" Lily's sweet, innocent voice broke through, making Sarah's heart ache even more. Taking a deep breath, she turned to look down at her daughter, her world. How could she answer that? Can trust be given or earned? Did their past outweigh the possibility of growth? And just as the gravity of the moment settled in, a small boy, bubbling with energy, collided into Lily, sending her giggling across the grass. Sarah's heart tightened. What if this was a mistake? What if she opened the door only to be betrayed again? As Kevin's gaze softened, the noise of the park faded around them, leaving only the three of them in a small universe of uncertainty. Could she risk it all again? "Mommy, can we go play?" Lily asked again, pulling at Sarah's heart yet again as memories of carefree days flooded her mind. "I need to think." But the fear of what that choice might ultimately mean lingered. What if taking this chance could either heal them or break them all over again? Sarah sat on the bench, her heart a battlefield of conflicting emotions. Kevin's presence loomed beside her, filled with promises of change. Yet, as she watched Lily frolic with the other children, the carefree laughter rang hollow against the heaviness in her chest. Doubts tangled with hopes, forming vines of confusion that threatened to choke her vision of the future. "Can we get ice cream now, Mommy?" Lily's joyful squeal burst through, her little face beaming with untainted excitement. It was as if she had no idea of the weight pressing down on her mother. Turning to Kevin, she glimpsed a glimmer of sincerity in his eyes. Each word he had spoken just moments earlier came rushing back, echoing in her mind, "I want to be better." Was it enough to trust in those 3 words? Could she risk exposing Lily to the chaos Kevin had caused before, or was this genuinely a new path? "All right, let us go get that ice cream," she said, forcing a smile so that her daughter wouldn't sense the turmoil swirling beneath her calm facade. They walked towards the ice cream stand together, a precarious atmosphere hanging over the trio. Lily skipped ahead, clutching her favorite pink backpack, her laughter a bright thread of joy weaving through the tense belonging of her parents. "Sarah," Kevin said, his voice low, practically drowned out by the vibrant chaos of the park, "I know you're scared." "I am too." "Scared?" The word slipped from her lips, tinged with sarcasm. "That's an understatement, Kevin." He slowed his pace, trying to match her intensity, but Sarah could see the flicker of understanding deep within him. "I don't expect forgiveness today. I'm just asking for a chance. You both deserve more than I've given. I want to let you down again." Could he mean it? The skepticism in Sarah's heart tightened, but the hope in her mind nudged at her, daring her to believe. Lily's excited chatter broke through their intense moment. "Look, Mommy. They have rainbow sprinkles." She danced around the kiosk, eyes wide with glee as she pointed to the colorful array of flavors behind the glass. Sarah stifled a laugh, her heart swelling at Lily's delight. This was a moment to cherish, not to taint with bitter memories of the past. "What should we do?" Kevin asked, his eyes resting on their daughter. "What if I treat you both?" "Fine," she conceded, as they approached the counter. "But if Lily picks something ridiculous, Mommy?" Lily chimed, already eyeing a bright green mint chocolate chip. "I promise it's not ridiculous." Just like that, the tension began to ease, and for the first time that day, a smile crept across Sarah's face. As Kevin ordered for them, Sarah's stomach twisted. Here was the man she once loved, the father of her child, hoping to be a part of her life again. But could they really start fresh? Lily received her cone, topped high with mint and rainbow sprinkles, her face lighting up as if she had just received a trophy. Sarah felt a fleeting moment of warmth as they settled down at a picnic table. Could this happiness create a bridge? She watched the interaction between her daughter and Kevin, sparks of connection igniting in the gaps of their past. Just as Lily turned to Kevin, asking him to tell her about the green dinosaurs he promised to get her, Sarah felt something shift. A moment of light hope flared within her, but then, Kevin looked at her, uncertainty clouding his eyes. "Can I really do this? Can we really be a family again?" "Yes," Sarah whispered, though in her heart a lingering question remained. What if the struggle was just beginning? As the sun dipped lower, the shadows of doubt crept back in. She glanced at Lily, the embodiment of hope. The sweetness of ice cream melted on her tongue, but would the sweetness last? And at that moment, her gaze met Kevin's, charged with unspoken fears and possibilities. Could the three of them find happiness together, or were they merely standing at the edge of a precipice, waiting for a push? As they savored their ice cream, the chaotic sounds of the park faded into the background. For a moment, it felt like just the three of them in a world that could turn whole again. Sarah watched Lily's face light up with delight as she licked the melting mint chocolate chip, sprinkles dancing down the sides of her cone. "Can we go to the playground next?" Lily pleaded, her eyes wide with hope. "Of course." "After this," Kevin said, glancing at Sarah, seeking her approval. It was a small act, but Sarah could feel the shift. Kevin was trying, and maybe just maybe that mattered. Lily darted ahead, her laughter echoing across the playground. Sarah and Kevin lingered behind, navigating the charged space between them. "How do you think she feels about everything?" Kevin asked, eyes still tracking their daughter. "I think she just wants her family back," Sarah replied, her voice steady but fragile. "But what she doesn't know is there are parts of us that are still broken." Kevin's shoulders sagged, and a deep sigh escaped him. "I want to fix it all. Every day I'm reminded of everything I messed up. But I can't change the past, Sarah. I just want you to see I'm trying to be a better man." That honesty hit Sarah hard. She glanced at him, right into those earnest eyes. Could she trust that honesty? Could it form a bridge from their tangled past? Lily, now on the swings, shouted, "Mom! Dad! Look at me!" She pumped her legs, her little body soaring higher with each effort. Watching her fly through the air, Sarah felt her heart swell and drop all at once. Children carried so much joy, and yet, so much needed protecting. Reflecting on Lily's vibrant spirit, Sarah felt the weight in her chest shift slightly. Maybe they could give this a real chance. But it wasn't just about rebuilding. It was about trusting Kevin not to stumble again. "Sarah!" Her daughter called, bright and loud. "Are you coming?" "Just a minute, sweetie," Sarah called back, her heart racing. "We need to talk." Kevin studied her, and his brow furrowed. "Talk about what?" "This is all new, and we're doing great. Right? I don't want to ignore everything." Her voice trailed off. "We need to address the past before we can build a future." "That's fair," Kevin said, shifting his weight uneasily. "What do you want to know?" What did she want to know? Sarah wasn't sure. All the questions bubble up at once, so she took a breath. "For starters, why now? Why this sudden change?" He took a moment, gazing at the lively scene before them. "Because I was losing everything that mattered. It took losing my family to realize what I had, what I still want." That sincerity resonated deep within Sarah, echoing back and forth between doubt and hope. Maybe there was a chance. Or maybe those words were just pretty phrases that would shatter with time. As Lily shouted her encouragement from the swings, a lightness danced in her heart. She craved connection like a beacon, but did she have the courage to step into the light and take that risk? The sun dipped toward the horizon, splashing colors across the sky, igniting the air with possibility. But with every hope rekindled, shadows lurked nearby. What if this was just another illusion? When they sat together later, with ice cream remnants splattered on the table and laughter still ringing in the air, Sarah knew the next moment demanded more. Could they open the door to rebuilding, or were they still tangled in the past? Just then, Lily paused her swinging, looking at her parents with a questioning gaze. "Are we going to be a real family again?" In that moment, the questions hung heavier than the fading light. It was both simple and deep, the perfect challenge. How would they answer? Did they dare to hope for that togetherness again? Sarah glanced between Kevin and Lily, ready to speak, but the words remained caught in her throat. What would they decide? In the tender glow of the setting sun, Sarah froze, feeling the weight of the moment swell around her like the gentle tide. It was a tempest of hope and fear swirling inside her chest. A real family again, she whispered to herself, her thoughts racing. Kevin's eyes softened, reflecting both guilt and longing. "I want that too, Lily," he said, kneeling down to meet her gaze. I want to be part of your life. I know I've made mistakes, but I promise I'm trying to be better." His sincerity cut through the air, delicate yet powerful. Sarah's heart fluttered anew. Could this really be the beginning of the family they had almost lost? She looked at Lily, whose innocent faith beamed like the sun. What would it mean to let hope in, to dare to imagine a different future? "Mommy?" Lily's sweet voice broke through her thoughts, her eyes wide with anticipation. "Can we try?" Just one moment, Sarah caught herself, holding back the tide of emotions. She had to decide. "Kevin, do you really mean it?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Can you prove to me you're ready to be here? No excuses?" "Every day, I'll show you," he replied earnestly. "Whatever it takes." His gaze held hers, a silent promise flickering between them. She took a deep breath, knowing fully that words were only the beginning. "All right," she said hesitantly, "but this is going to take time. I want our life to grow on trust, real trust." "Count on it," Kevin said quietly. Relief washed over his features, but it wouldn't be enough to erase her doubts. The journey ahead loomed heavy yet promising. "Yay!" Lily cheered, clapping her hands together. Sarah couldn't help but smile at her daughter's innocence, a light in the shadows surrounding them. "Let us go play," Kevin said, standing up and offering his hand to Lily. Sarah felt a flicker of warmth as he channeled his focus on their daughter, a glimpse of fatherhood they had missed. As they walked toward the playground, hand in hand, Sarah took a moment to observe them. There was something different in the air, like the first scent of spring lingering after a long winter. Maybe this was the moment everything could shift. Underneath the jungle gym, Lily giggled, climbing higher, pushing her little body to reach the top. Kevin watched her with an expression so gentle, it tugged at Sarah's heart. "She's amazing," he noted, casting a sideways glance at Sarah. "She really is," Sarah replied softly, her heart filling with a warmth she had thought was lost. "I just want her to be happy. She deserves it more than anything. And I want to be part of that happiness," Kevin asserted firmly, lifting himself and joining Lily amidst the playful chaos. Watching them together elicited a swell of emotion in Sarah that she struggled to identify. Was it hope? Was it fear? In that moment, as Kevin pushed Lily on the swings, they became something they hadn't been before, a team. Laughter erupted, harmonizing with the sound of other children. The sun dipped lower, casting a golden hue over the park, illuminating the fresh path laid before them. "See, Mommy? We're all together," Lily shouted, her voice ringing clear. Sarah nodded, unable to suppress her lingering doubts but also feeling them soften. "Yes," she called back, her heart fluttering with a mix of joy. "Together." As the sun finally dipped below the horizon, casting the park into twilight, Sarah took a deep breath, letting the sweet scent of new beginnings wash over her. Maybe the road ahead was uncertain, but in that moment, she chose to step forward into possibility, into family. The rest would follow. They stood together, a fragile yet resilient family, ready to embrace whatever came next. "Okay, let us make this work," she whispered to herself, feeling a peace growing inside. With each shared laugh, each moment spent, the bonds that hung by thread might finally weave into something strong, something worth believing in once more, and so, they embraced this chance at joy, one small step at a time, together. But as the stars slowly illuminated the night sky, Sarah couldn't dismiss the truth that lay behind their laughter. She had to protect this new harmony they were carving out. She would be their shield, their anchor. With resolve, she vowed never to let the storms of the past take root. With a heart full of hope, she wrapped her arms around Lily, watching as Kevin joined them, unsure yet determined. "Whatever happens," she thought, "I will fight for us." And they would begin anew, and if you felt even a little bit inspired by their journey, then you need to subscribe immediately. This is the moment to show your support for heartwarming transformations like this. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this uplifting story. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. We need your voice to spread this message. And comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let us hear your thoughts. Together, we can create a community of hope and connection.